Good evening, everybody. Hope you can hear me tonight. Good to be with you. I'm Nate Eaton, and we are live tonight in our newsroom. This is our newsroom, and I am here to bring you an interesting episode. Just one moment. I'm sending out a link. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Sending out a link to let people know we are live for another edition of Courtroom Insider. And tonight, I'm getting levels that seem quite high, so let me just turn this down. Tonight, our moderator, Peggy Jepson, is looking at all of your comments, so no matter where you're watching from, please let us know in the comments below. And also, I'll answer as many questions as I can as we get going later on here this evening. We have quite an interesting topic. This has taken me a couple of weeks to put together because things have been so busy. But tonight we will be doing a deep dive into the Dylan Rounds investigation. Now you might be thinking, a deep dive? What do you mean? James Brener's in prison. Dylan Rounds was found earlier this year. They had his beautiful memorial service just a few weeks ago. Why are you doing a deep dive? Well, because just a couple of weeks ago, the investigators, the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, the prosecutor, they released all of the documents that we know of. Maybe there's more out there, but they've released thousands and thousands of documents and photos and videos and a PowerPoint timeline and PDFs and jailhouse phone calls and all sorts of stuff related to the investigation of Dylan Rounds. This is required by law, and in every state, things are done a little bit differently. Like in Idaho right now, of course, we want all of the documents for the Daybell Vallow stuff. We know most of them. We've seen a lot of them, but there were some that came out in court that we don't have access to. Judge Boyce, at the end of Chad Daybell's trial, said he's going to temporarily hold onto all of those documents until Chad Daybell, till all of the appeals are done. That's not the case in Utah with this case, so it seems. The attorney's office, the Box Elder County attorney's office, released these documents, and they're now public. During these investigations, you can't get them a lot of the times because there's an active investigation. But once cases are adjudicated and they've worked their way through the court system, you, as a citizen, have the rights to public documents. Taxpayer money is spent to investigate these cases, and you have the right to go down to the courthouse and request them. Now, there might be a fee. Sometimes there's a fee of $1 a page, or money for the CDs if there's CDs involved or whatever. But you have the right to have them. And sometimes you might have to put up a little fight. At least in the media, sometimes we have to fight to say this should be public record. You should release them. Sometimes more information is released than you think might be, which is kind of the case in this case with Dylan Rounds, is in talking with his mother, who you will hear from in just a little bit. I spoke with her about an hour ago. We did a quick Zoom conversation, and I want to play that for you. There are so many things in this file that I can't even touch on a fraction of them tonight. I've gone through most of it. It's taken some time. I've pulled kind of the interesting things that stuck out to me. And there's a bunch of other stuff in there that, honestly, some of it I don't even know what it is, and there's no organization to it. It's just like they put it all in one file. At least they separated it out with photos, videos, documents. In fact, let me pull it up. I'll show you exactly what it looks like so that you can see just what we're working with here and how it can be difficult to go through and try to ascertain, what's this, what's that. Just one moment here. So it's on a Google Drive. I'll pull this up. So this is what it looks like. If you can see it, hopefully you're on a computer. If you're on a phone, it's going to be small. But this says correspondence. So here's all the correspondence. And these are like letters from the prosecutor's office saying you no longer have to honor a subpoena. Here's a story from KSL that they had in there when James Brener pleaded guilty. Here's the news release they sent out. So this is just basically, here's emails back and forth between investigators and whatnot. This is basically the correspondence from the case. In here, this next folder, it's court documents. It's the charging documents. The order, what's this? Just a random one. Order to hold without bail. We'll talk about that one in a little bit. So there's the court documents. Then you've got investigative records, lab reports, new videos, photos, and videos. So I went through all, and some of these, for instance, the photo section is so large that there are hundreds and hundreds of photos. You scan through all these, and some of them are, here's one at random, that we'll talk about here in a minute. It's the a case or a cabinet inside a trailer, and there's a gun in there. Where could that have been? Well, I'll tell you in just a minute. So there's pictures of the guns. There's pictures of, looks like a dog searching a barrel, and just random stuff, just pictures, photos, which can be actually quite fascinating. Would love to see that sort of stuff. Then there's videos and new videos. So as I said, I went through all this stuff and I pulled out some of the things that really kind of stuck out to me. New stuff that we haven't seen before, stuff that might shed some additional light on the case, and stuff that, I think you might find interesting. So we're going to jump right in here and go with that. By the way, as I said, if you have questions, post them in the comments. Peggy's going through those comments, and she's keeping me updated on what you all have to say, and I appreciate that. Now, the very first thing I want to show you is a video. This is the first video of when Dylan first disappeared. I'm going to move my camera over there. This is body cam footage when the deputies from the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office went out to the remote desert town of Lucin, Utah, and approached Dylan's parents. They had notified the police that Dylan was missing. And I want you to pay attention. This video, I think, is about 3 minutes. It's windy. It's hard to hear some parts. But in a second, after I play this video for you, I'll explain who the other people are that pop up on the screen. So here we go.
Hi, Candace.
Hi, Candace.
Justin, Dylan's dad.
Hi, Justin.
So here's where we're at. So right up here at these yards is his last known location. His camper is about 4 miles back up this way by his pond, and we're really thinking he might have taken off and gone across. Because there's been no phone calls on his phone.
Yeah, no. I did get a ping.
Okay.
Last location was 15.4 miles from the phone line tower,
Okay.
which puts him on this back road.
So I wonder would that hit him walking? Okay, that's, I know my son, and that's the shortest route to his camp.
If he walked,
that road ends right out here.
if he walked, he would have come from the corner, cut across this field.
But that's his closest cell phone, Pete. Not in town, it's out here.
Mm-hmm. Off of that road, the back road into the compound.
Can we go down to where it is?
Yeah.
It ends out there at the old cabin, doesn't it?
Well, but that's where the ping
But
was.
that's where the ping was. That's,
He was out there.
yeah, and
So are you guys,
I used to work for Dylan, my brother's grandfather.
I'm the guy that's supposed to keep
Don
an eye on shit around.
so what's your name?
Don Haley.
Don and
Jim Brener.
Jim Brener?
I've been down to his place twice. Went down yesterday afternoon, looked around. Hadn't been in his bed. His pickup's locked. All the equipment's where it's supposed to be there.
Was his trailer open?
He never locks it. He doesn't lock anyway. Today I took Jim down there with me and we did a little more thorough search.
And he wasn't in the camper. Doesn't look like anybody's been around.
Nope. They checked
It's been raining off and on since Saturday, so any fresh rats were kind of mushed out.
Yeah.
If he was on that back road down there, we ought to go look that way. I didn't realize it.
I don't know how. Can you guys show us? I
I
mean,
don't
we're
know how
not
we would do it though, and he had the green truck.
No.
Walking.
walking. That doesn't mean that's his exact location. That's the closest cell phone
That's
ping.
the last ping for whether he tried to use it or the last location it updated before it died.
What time was that? Does it tell you?
And that was at 14:58.
So right after
So
he
just before 3 o'clock.
right after you left. So he must have pulled in right behind you, dropped off the grain truck, and I'm telling you, I bet you he took off walking.
How do you get to that road from So we don't have to go all the way back to Lucin Pond and over.
No, I guess we're
Perfect.
okay.
I'll find it.
Okay, so that's pretty much that video. Let me pause it. Now, did you notice who showed up right away when the police did? There was, of course, Candace and Justin, Dylan's parents. But James Brener showed up, and so did Dawn, who was friends with James and Dylan. And Brener is saying, as they're talking about where to go and let's go back there, he's kind of like, well, I don't know. He would have cut across this way. It's interesting that he was so involved, too, with the investigators when they showed up. And also, do you hear how, like, insistent Candace is? She's like, I know him. I know Dylan. There's worry in her voice to me. There's worry in her voice. There's urgency. There's let's go figure out when was the cell phone ping. She's trying to, figure out what's happening in her mind. And James is right there. Now, this is not the only video of James Brener. Remember, the same James Brener that later on confessed to killing Dylan and led investigators to his body. Right out there in this area where they're looking. So this is another dash cam video, or body cam. This one is about an hour. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to kind of skip around, so just bear with me here. Just to show you again how James Brener is making himself known in this investigation. As trying to be helpful. As giving his thoughts about where Dylan could be. About, telling police where maybe they should look or what it's like out there. So this is another body cam video that they got. This is, the date on this one is May 30th, 2022. So that is the same day as that other video when the police first showed up and went to talk with Candace and Justin, and then Dawn came out and so did Jim. Okay, here's the second video. And again, I'll probably jump around a bit.
Yeah. Could you see his trailer from up there?
Straight east. How far?
You see the fence right over there?
Yeah.
It's about 4 miles from that fence.
Yeah, it's about 4.
From that fence?
Yep.
And then that's his property?
4 miles from that fence.
From the fence is his property? No, he doesn't own 4
No,
miles.
he's just got that one section down there. But it's 4 miles from this fence down to his.
Is that the last fence from his property?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's the old fence across the road that's down all the way out on the road. So, yeah.
It's down.
So they're trying to figure things out,
on the main
obviously,
road,
the properties.
That part of it's down.
The other side of that fence, it looks just like that right there.
All this weed stuff?
Yeah, it's because I come in that way from his place.
Search and rescue have a drone?
Yeah, they got a couple of them. Whether if they can fly it in the wind, I don't know. I think it's good up to like 20 mile an hour wind, so this should be fine. And they got four-wheelers and all sorts of
How
toys.
far away are they?
When I talked to them to see if they wanted us to come down the road or not, they were just at other side of Snowville Flats.
They got any way
So
of
about an
pinpointing
hour.
his phone?
No, it went 15.14 miles from the tower, southwest, which puts it here, off of that road. Just as you come
That's
over
James
to,
Brener right
Lucin
there.
Pond and use the back way here.
Remember, he's got an active warrant for his arrest at this point. Not in relation to this crime.
Here that way. But if it died and he kept walking or
Right.
whatever he did, once it's dead,
Is there any steep terrain or steep stuff, or is it just this brush?
Well, there's a couple of little washers that are
Yeah,
4
there's
or
the
5 foot
washes.
deep.
That's
Nothing to get fall down.
Like I said, I can't picture him doing this.
If he didn't have a ride, he'd do it.
Not when it's easier to walk up that road. This is
Dylan would take a cut across. I'm telling you, Dylan
He
would
would?
take the show.
Oh, yeah.
tourist route
He,
possible.
he's all about exploring.
Yes, that's
And
what he
That mountain
would.
over there, Pigeon
Mhm.
Mountain, he's been to the top of that.
Yeah. He would definitely walk this. This is nothing for him.
Well, only other thing we can do is go check his trailer and then meet with search and rescue.
He's down there, that's what we want to do. Maybe that's what we should do.
Let's go look at his trailer. Let's
Yeah.
see if his
Okay,
trailer's
so
there.
we'll cut out of that one. Again, there's that's much longer. And then here we go. This is another one. So that was the same night. That was after they drove out to possibly see. And notice James Brener is, I think in a way I would evaluate this, is he's trying to find out some information from the cops. You know, like, well, where was the cell phone ping? Trying to figure out in his mind, what do they know that I can try to find out what they know. And again, this is early on. This is very early on. So, you know, we obviously know now what we didn't know then. But here's more video from more body cam. And again, I'm not going to play this whole thing. This is the same night. And this is of James Brener. This was late May. So the sun's out late. Those videos were around 6 o'clock. And it's fascinating to me to see the very beginning stages of Dylan and Candace and Justin trying to figure out where their son is. Where is he? Look at that area. Where would you even start? Obviously, you'd probably start at his trailer and his truck. Go to the shed. Look around there. But if you have no luck there, then where do you go? And that's why they're asking about a drone, and that's why they're asking about where could he be? Is he injured somewhere? Did he get in a car with someone else? There's just so many questions. And Brener, appearing to be helpful, trying to figure it out with them, is there, along with Dawn, the other friend. Okay, here's another video. This one, again, is quite lengthy. I'm not going to play the whole thing. More video showing James Brener trying to insert himself into the investigation.
Tried to get the hole and meshed and yeah, there's clothes. It was met. I know I've never. I didn't want to say anything in front of him that Dylan's been hanging out in the bar over there because Larry's drank once in his life by accident. He was on him and his friend were in a Mexican breakfast restaurant, I guess, and he ordered something that said Coke. It totally fucked him up.
Oh.
And Larry's a good Mormon, you know. He's just a good guy.
Yeah.
And if he knew that, I think he knows.
So here's James trying to. Sorry, forgot to hit the camera. Here's James trying to form this relationship or build this relationship with the cop.
Yeah. So these vehicles belong to someone else, you said?
The two white ones belong to Ed.
Oh.
The blue one's mine, the white van is mine, and the gray one just
Man, this place, last time I was out here, there was a cement plant out here. There was all sorts of stuff out here.
well, Ed had big change, I guess. Did you want to look in the little building there where I keep my
Absolutely.
Again, James appearing to be helpful. You want to come and look here? You want to look there? Sure.
You like bush light or bush?
I like bush and natural light.
Oh.
I don't. I used to be a bud heavy guy, but I get drunk off that. I like beer. You know, I don't.
Where do you go? Do you go to Montello to buy all that?
No, I stay out of Montello. Usually run up to Burley,
Oh, okay.
and then we go to Wendover about once a month, and I usually pick up a couple 30 packs down there.
James Brener being very friendly with the
I don't
cop.
support Montello at all.
He knows where the body is at this moment, yet the cop's doing a basic search at things all around.
So when you were out there the other day, were you just out walking, or did you haul some trash out there? Or? you were catching your horse, you said.
Yeah,
That's the horse prints. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
he's got an owie on the end of his nose, and I'm spraying him with this stuff. And
Scarlet oil.
Scarlet oil, yeah, and it seems to be working.
Do you ride very often?
I haven't ridden in over a year because I broke my ankle, and he got screwed up, and it's just one thing after another. But he's a friend of mine.
Sure. You don't get rid of friends.
And my dog loves him.
Yeah, just those two boots out there, they're brand new. Like they've only been out there. They're the same color leather as your boots, and they're the same ones he wears. So we're just curious of why his boots would be out there. Same size he wears. They've only been out there probably for a day or two. So we're just curious of, does he ride horses? Dylan?
I think he's got a horse, but I don't think he
Rides it?
He likes riding tractors. He might have threw him out there. I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe he did. Well, does he know that's a dump out
Yeah.
there? He does?
He's got electronics and shit in.
Okay, I want to pause. They're talking about Dylan's boots. Remember the boots? And I have a photo that I'll show you here in a minute of those boots. We see them for the very first time. We've heard a lot about the boots, but we see them according to the police photos for the first time. He's talking about the prints, the boots of Dylan's the boot prints that led right to Dylan's boot. And James Brener admits he was out there by the boots in this video. And the police officer's trying to get information, whatever James might know, to tell him.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, if you dig around in there, you'll find old power inverters that he wiped out. So maybe, I don't know. Because like I say, he was here. He had to have been here. Brought the truck here.
Yeah. Huh, that would make sense. This van yours?
That's fine.
Can I look in it?
The guy already did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
I wish
Okay.
you wouldn't, because I got mushrooms drying there, and every time you open the door with the wind blowing, they blow all over.
What kind of mushrooms?
Oh, they're not the kinds that get you high.
Dang.
They're the ones that I get them down at the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
99 cents on sale.
Yeah.
And I love mushrooms in the wintertime. I can't get in the store. I just dehydrate them, and then when I need them, I just soak them in hot water, and they expand right up.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, no, if they've already looked, I'm not going to open it. So, okay, well, they'll be here for a while to look around and see if...
They said his phone pinged, and I don't understand it. His phone pinged down there.
Well, 15.12 miles from Boating Tower. So, I mean...
That would be here.
Yeah, so, I mean, but 15.12 miles can be a lot of places, right? You could draw a radius, and anywhere on that radius could be 15.12 miles.
Well,
So,
like I told his grandfather, he goes over to the pond. He gets water. I do too. That pond has the best drinking water. Probably dropped his phone over there. He's always losing his phone.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's where the last time I seen him was there, about 3.5 weeks ago. Where they're cutting wood. He stopped in to get water, and he's talking to me.
But this is his fuel truck, huh?
Yep.
He's buying it?
Yeah, he's buying it, and I think the fuel belongs to Joe Checchio. I don't know the whole deal. Yeah, that's it. Did you look in there?
I'm going to check that out right now. There better not be a rabid raccoon in there.
Is there a record?
I don't know.
There goes somebody heading down to his place.
Yeah, there's like 20 people out here right now.
Yeah, he drinks natural light too.
Don't tell his grandpa.
No, Larry had a conversation with his brother.
Alrighty.
Like I say, you don't go in a bar and brag about how much money you're making, especially in that bar.
Where does he make his money? Oh,
Okay. This video goes on and on and on. He's talking with Brener. Brener is offering his 2 cents as to where he thinks Dylan could be. I believe he said here, if you heard it correctly, that the last time he saw Dylan, he was cutting wood and he was losing his phone. He said something about his phone. And Brener's trying to figure out, this is the second or third time he's brought up the fact that I don't understand the cell phone ping. And he says, why don't you go check the pond? Okay, let's move on to the next video. Again, this is now the 10th of June. So I want to go through some court documents in just a minute, but let's see what is on this video.
Better on texting thing, I get that.
Yeah, because I don't answer my phone unless he calls or Dylan would call. Well, I got him punched in. I got him punched in. And he comes up and who's calling. But this time it's Idaho number, and I'm sick of it. It's all spam. So
I feel the same way. I can't stand that crap. It's like non-stop.
well, the detective that was grilling me the other day, we were in the shop, and I had my phone set up for a chicken coop. Guys.
Well, we just had a couple things we wanted to talk to you about. We're still trying to figure stuff out, you know, and just have you guys heard or seen anything these days? Anything new? I was gonna have you, I was gonna interview you, but we didn't end up getting to that point because we did some other stuff, you know, and
Yep.
Sorry, I'm going to try to replay that clip. For some reason, the video is freezing. This is when they're getting close to arresting.
had a couple things we wanted to talk to you about. We're still trying to figure stuff. Just have you guys heard or seen anything these days? Anything new? I was gonna have you, I was gonna interview you, but we didn't end up getting to that point because we're a smaller guy.
Yeah, Brener's here. Yeah. I met him a couple years ago. He was with me.
Okay.
I thought I saw something about them being out here the other day.
Yeah,
So-
People out here.
Four miles from that fence.
Throwing the fence is his property? No, he doesn't own 4 miles.
No, he's just got that one section down there. But it's 4 miles from this fence down to his.
Is that the last fence?
Okay, I'm going to try to play this one other way because this video is pretty compelling and it keeps freezing up here. In between all of this time, the police learn that James Brener has warrants, current, like active warrants, and that he has an extensive criminal background. Candace has said in the past, and many people have wondered, why wasn't he arrested right away? It ended up here in a minute. I'll show you the photos of the weapons that Brener asked Don, that guy in the first video, to take into his trailer and hide for him. As a convicted felon, you cannot have weapons. And that's ultimately what they arrested him on before they got him, were able to charge him for Dylan's disappearance. But this is the video where they show up and the walls are kind of closing in, you could say. I believe that I should be able to play it now. Here we go.
I can't stand that crap. It's like non-stop.
Well, the detective that was grilling me the other day, we were in the shop, and I had my phone set up for a chicken coop.
He out here.
Yeah, Bronson, little smaller guy.
Yeah, Brener's here. Yeah. I met him a couple years ago. He was with me.
Okay.
I thought I saw something about them being out here the other day.
Yeah,
So-
People out here.
Yeah. No, I don't necessarily. I don't think you're.
Like me.
Well, I know this for a fact. We dated a girl all last summer. And I did it purposely for that reason, because I wanted to know names, places, and I knew about Michael Moore getting broken into.
And he's on the other side of Lyon, isn't he? Michael
Moore is up here by Governor Spring.
Okay.
And
I've heard it. I've heard him mention.
You might just have to listen to the audio because I think the video freezing might be on their file. At least it's not playing accurately here, but you can listen to what he's saying, what James Brener is saying. Maybe, because it's so windy.
And this detective that was down here the other day asked me, what about the report? I said, there was never a report done.
There's a warrant for your arrest. I'm going to let you know about it right now.
From Maryland?
So we're going to pick you up and take you to jail with us.
Oh, God damn it.
So what I want you to do, I know before you talk, you place your hands on your head for me. Interlock your fingers. Okay? Exactly. We're going to pick you up and take you to jail with us.
Oh, God damn it.
So what I want you to do, I know before you talk, you place your hands on your head for me. Interlock your fingers. Okay?
I got a knife in my pocket.
Right.
Okay.
He said he's wondering about your dog. Bring it back. I wanted to talk to you. Exactly. So,
I got you.
he's a big boy. I don't want to jam you up on this.
I burnt myself about a week ago.
Is that gate closed or open right now?
I got it open right now.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to. Doesn't he have a horse or something in there?
Got a horse. I need to get his keys.
Okay.
I'll take care of his horse.
Okay.
So I got to spend the night in jail so I can get turned loose.
Right. But it's a no bail warrant.
What?
Like I said, I'll explain real quick, just a second.
I know what it is. In 1989 or 90, they put a warrant for my arrest when I was living in Maine. I've been down there twice to straighten it out, and they won't take it off the computer. I had a state trooper in North Dakota 3 or 4 years ago straighten it out so they wouldn't come and get me unless I was across the Mississippi, and now they changed it again.
Okay. You want to write it? You said.
So these don't move on you anymore, okay?
Yeah.
What about your dog and keys?
He's going to take care of the dog. He's going to lock the gate. I don't want anybody in there. Okay?
We're not going in there.
What?
Your keys?
He said he needs your keys.
Keys for what?
Okay, if I don't need them, I don't need them.
Just lock the gate.
Okay.
I don't want that.
Is your house locked?
House is locked. Yeah.
Okay.
And the cooler is in the shop. I haven't been to the house yet. And the meat that I bought is in the cooler. You might as well do something with that. I just want to make sure that people aren't flying in and out of there and they leave the gate open and I got to go up the mountain to get my horse over this bullshit.
Alright, Jim, can I just step the back of my truck, man?
Yep.
Anything in your pockets to worry about?
Yeah, I got a real dangerous Swiss Army knife in this pocket.
Swiss?
Yeah.
You want to just leave it here with Dawn?
Maryland, that would be a dangerous weapon. For me, it's a necessity.
Especially out here with nobody else. Anything else on here?
I got a wallet. Here.
Just set it on his. You want to just set it on his computer, or what do we want to do with it?
You got a keys or the keys there?
I could have done all this. I mean, there's enough of you guys.
He is? I know. Yeah, didn't you say that?
I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, I did. I just was thinking. Are we gonna send this with him?
Yeah,
He said he wants that to stay with him.
And send the phone with Gray. Okay, got
Of course, this is Friday. That means I got to sit and rot in jail till Monday, right?
That I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I do know. I do know. I got to rot in fucking jail till Monday.
Is this your glasses?
Yeah, I need those to see.
Got a dog and horse up there.
Can you make sure he gets that? I don't know where to put it.
See
So.
my truck, that meat you gave me?
Yeah.
You might have to take that home and cook it up and Chloe.
Okay.
I'm sorry for this Maryland bullshit has been going on since I was 22 years old. I'm 58 right now.
Let me grab you a step so that you're not having to hike up a little bit easier on you, know what I mean? See if that helps you. I'll take one step in, watch your head.
Do you have a bag or something to put his stuff in?
Put these on the front, huh? So
Oh,
It's up to you guys.
you're transporting, dude. I'm fine with whatever you want to do.
And those were the last steps James Brener took as a free man. Obviously, he was not happy to see the cops. At this time, also remember, he had an active warrant for an aggravated felony warrant out of Box Elder County where he had arrested him. So this is June 10th. Dylan disappeared around the weekend of the 26th. I believe it was the 26th. 27th, Memorial Day weekend, the Saturday before Memorial Day. At this point, James, it's interesting to me, side note here, the dude is squatting in a trailer. And he's saying, shut my gate. I don't want anyone going in there. Well, he doesn't own the property. As far as I know, he does not own the property. So why is he, going off about that sort of stuff? So it's just interesting to me. Now, police, I believe these next photos, these were taken in Dawn's, the friend's trailer. And this is Dawn's trailer. I originally thought it was James' Brener's trailer, but this was Dawn's trailer. And when the police went in and searched it, they found this. Well, these were the weapons and by the way, these are just a fraction of the photos taken in that trailer. There were so many things on the thing. Okay, I just want to clarify something. He was arrested on the 10th. Then he got out on the 12th. Thank you, Candace. Candace is helping me out with this timeline. They arrested him on the 10th. He got out on the 12th, so he did have to stay the weekend. Then they rearrested him on the 20th. That is why, I don't know. Neither does Candace. Why they let him out, again, we don't know. And so he was out again for 8 days. So those weren't the last steps he took as a free man. I apologize. He later took more steps as a free man, at least for 8 days, before they got him again on the 20th. I stand corrected. These are just some of the weapons, the guns that were found inside Dawn's trailer. There were so many in this file. I just pulled some. These belonged to James Brener or were stolen. James Brener had stolen them. Either way, legally, he was not allowed to have them, and this is how cops were able to get him. You see there's a loaded gun right there. There's some scopes on these guns. Here's some handguns, at least one handgun, black powder. There was some other photos that showed like black powder type, I don't want to say chemicals, but I don't know what you'd call it. Other boxes of bullets and other type of things that could be used to make ammunition or whatnot. So there was a lot of those type of photos. And then there was this photo, which caught my eye because it didn't fit in with the rest of the pictures. This is a photo that appears to have been taken on Dylan's phone. We don't know when, other than it says May 26th. And I was talking with Candace, and she said, we don't know what year. Could it have been that May 26th before he disappeared? Could this have been one of the last photos he took? Perhaps. We don't know. And there's no context in this file as to what each of these photos mean, other than here's a photo taken from Dylan's phone. And it appears to show that he's probably on a horse and leading some cattle. Or there's a group of cattle in front of him. Now, here's some interesting photos that were put in the file as well. Pictures of James Brener that, from my understanding, there was a video, a time-lapse video that was sped up super fast on Dylan's phone. And the police took that video and they broke it up frame by frame. And these were some of the photos from that video. James Brener standing there. Who knows how that phone started to record? We have no idea. Did he touch a button? Did Dylan touch a button before he was? We don't know. But look at this one. He's got a gun. And if you look at his arm, right, I'm going to try to point here, see if my pointer works. Right here, to me, that looks like blood. There's something here. And then the next photo is two of Brener. another one, and then blood on the sleeve, so it appears. And then some sort of cleaning agent, I would imagine. Maybe it's just water. I don't know, but the video caught that. Here is a time-lapse video. I do not know if this is the video because it's super, super fast, but maybe it is. If not, it's in the file and it's an interesting piece to watch. And it literally is about a second. Watch this. Whoops. Here we go. You see how quick that was? I'll do it again. I mean, that is so fast that you can't even tell. And I have not had the time to go through it frame by frame. I probably could, but again, I'll play it one more time. So that shows something taken off of Dylan's phone. Now we have some photos of inside Dylan's truck. And again, I want to stress there were hundreds and hundreds of photos. And I just pulled some, bits here and there. But this is just a typical photo looking inside Dylan's truck that the police took. And here is the picture of the boots. There's the one boot right there. Here's a close-up of the boot. And then here is one boot there and one boot there by that bush. This is that dirt pile. If you remember one of the very first interviews, it may have been the first interview I did with Candace and Justin. They talked about this, about those boots being found. And why would he have his boots off? He only wore boots and the same type of boots all the time. So this was very troubling to them. This is Dylan's irrigation pond. I did wonder if it was the pond where his phone was found at the bottom that James Brener threw it in, most likely, but this is his irrigation pond. And then here's a photo of a handgun. And this is a handgun. I asked Candace, do we know where this one came from? And she did not. So it's possible it could have been from wherever. It looks like it's on the bottom of a truck mat or something. Now, there were dozens and dozens of photos showing an aerial shot of Dylan's, where his remains were found throughout the desert and his main burial spot. And I'm not going to show those to you. I'll show you one to kind of give you an idea of what it looked like. The red flags here, and this is where Dylan was buried, to show you the type of terrain. And the red flags were other parts of him. And then here is an aerial shot showing where the investigators are, and where those black dots are, those were where parts of his remains were found. And then there were other photos like this that showed parts of him. And that's all I'll say about that. There were so many in there, but we won't get in there and go through those. Hold on. Pardon me. There's some. Again, we could spend 10 hours going through every piece of this. I'm trying to just summarize it as best I can. But I do want to play parts of a jail phone call that a young man made. Well, he sounds young. I don't know his name, but he made to James Brener's cellmate. When James Brener was put in the Box Elder County Jail, his cellmate, or someone in the same pod as him, communicated with this guy on the outside, and they start talking about the case. They also talk about some other stuff that you might be a little lost. There's 2 phone calls. I want to play you. I don't know if I'll play them in full, but I'll play you parts of them at least so you can kind of get a taste as to what was happening behind bars as James Brener was arrested. I do want to say there's a language. There are some swear words here. There is some profanity. Just a warning for you. I know there was some earlier on. I probably should have warned you in the beginning, but just so you know, that's the reality of it. And this is one of the jail phone calls, and then we'll pick it up on the other side.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from an incarcerated individual at correctional facility. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to this recorded call, press
1. To refuse to thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
What happened?
Hello?
Hello, is Carrie there?
This is Carrie. She was just accepting the call from me.
Hello?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I had
Yeah,
to live
sorry.
with the
You're
handcuffs off me.
my girlfriend was just accepting the call from me.
Okay. Yeah, I had to live with
So-
the handcuffs off. When they come in and do walks, you got to get cuffed up if you're out. Or get locked back in. You're only allowed out people at the time. You and your celly if you got a celly.
Do you have a Sally?
Yeah, I got a celly.
What's his name?
Huh?
Is it Brendan?
He's is who?
Or who? What is he?
Is look up a name on YouTube called Dylan Round.
Dylan Round?
Yeah, Dylan Round. See what you get.
Okay. Do you get commissary at all? Or can you buy any commissary?
Yeah, I can still buy it. Just I can't buy like coffee and noodles.
But you can get other shit? Do you
I
need
can
like
get other
20
shit.
bucks?
I was in jail like fucking $30 or $40.
Oh, really? How come?
Yeah, I had to go to the hospital. I had a heart attack.
Okay, so they talk about commissary. I'm going to let it play out. They talk about commissary, and then this cellmate tells this guy his cellie is James Brener. And he's like, look him up on Google, look him up on YouTube. And the guy on the other end of the line is like, oh my gosh, I know Brener. I served time with him. I knew him. Then there's another call. The guy calls back. I believe they got disconnected, and then the man called back. And here is part of that second call.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
James Prophet.
an incarcerated individual at
Correctional facility.
This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to
Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
What happened?
Hey, what's up?
What happened?
I don't know. It just hung up on me.
Oh shit.
If it does that, just call back.
No shit. Damn.
Yeah, it does that.
So my celly wants me to call you from in the room. I think his headphone works. I'm making favor to call. He wants to try to find out. He wants to find out if what they got. What are they saying on YouTube about that Dylan Round?
About what he did?
Yeah.
He said, what are they saying on YouTube about Dylan Rounds?
I'll check. Yeah, hell yeah, I'll check. You told you to do that?
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I can't get YouTube in it.
Yeah, but haven't you asked him anything, or what? You guys are too scared to like it and shit? You guys both could be trying to make a deal against each other. Just kidding.
No, hell no. No, hell no. Not me.
Okay.
No, I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure, but he just wants to find out how much.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. I'll look at you right now we're at the dog park, but I'll do it when I get home.
All right, cool.
I'll look at it. Man, I don't know. What did we do today?
So that Brener wants to know what people are saying on YouTube about the case. And, you know, it's very possible that he watched the interviews that I did with Candace Cooley and Justin Rounds from the very beginning, because we put those on YouTube. And I hope he did. I hope he saw them, and I hope he heard what Candace and Justin had to say from those very early days, because they were desperate for any answer on their son. So it's just that just kind of is a fascinating look kind of behind the scenes as to what Brener was saying. Now I want to go to some PDFs. Again, so many documents in this case, but here's some that kind of stuck out. This was Brener's, I'm going to close this window. This is from 1986, October 2nd, 1986, in the Circuit Court of Prince George's County, Maryland. And this talks about how this was one of his early, he was found guilty of malicious shooting back in 86. And this is the court document that they filled out for, let's see what else is on here. There we go. Malicious shooting. He was ordered to serve 5 years, all but 1 year credit for days given, and then 4 years of probation, it looks like, upon release. And then he had a $60 fine and $20 appearance for the clerk of court. Okay, so we've got that back in 86. That the police pulled that document. Now, what else do we have? Let me pull up another PDF here of more of his criminal record. If you can see this one from 1986, at approximately on June 2nd, National Capital Park Police at June 2nd, 86, at approximately 5:50, a report of an assault with a handgun was filed at the Koska Regional Park Campground. The investigation showed that the defendant was at the Koska Regional Campground sitting in his truck. Danny Weir and Michael Spro had stopped to talk with the defendant about a new job since the defendant had been laid off by Mr. Weir earlier in the day. The defendant allegedly uncovered a handgun from under a, I don't know where it continues. Did he assault him with the intent to then and there commit murder? And he was charged. James Brener was. Here's more. He grabbed the defendant's hand. Looks like they were calling each other names. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. The defendant to go back in the truck. The weapon was recovered at the scene. Blah, blah, blah. So, again, not a pleasant man. All the way back to 86. Then we have this, another probable cause document or another court document. He was charged with, let's see, he feloniously and maliciously shot Danny Weir, this other guy. There's just so many of these PDFs and so many of the reports. I have the Capitol Police arrest report, assault with intent to murder. Then we've got this was an interesting thing I wanted to show you. There are several of these reports, but this is one that shows the Great Basin Canine SAR went in on August 15th of 2022. We know that the dogs ultimately did not find anything, but they wrote up reports about what was happening, and then they showed maps of where the dogs went. And the different canine dogs, Nordstrom, Vigo, it looks like, these are their tracks searching in the area to see if they could get a sniff, if they could find Dylan. And again, ultimately those dogs did not find him, but they did have some dogs out there. And then Candace Cooley was working with the Missing in America Network to get other dogs out there. Do you remember at the beginning of this case? I'm sorry, this is going to go a little longer than an hour because, as I said, there's so much here. The young man there was talk about a young man that needed a ride and he was barefoot. And his name was Chase Venstra, and he was originally a person of interest in connection to the case, and then they kind of ruled him out pretty quickly. But we see for the first time in these documents his statement. And he wrote, I left Sunday around 4 p.m. on four-wheeler, went down tracks from 12th Street, Ogden, across the lake, stopped at Lakeside because it was raining, and took picture of four-wheeler in Indian Cove, continued on to Nevada but ran out of gas in Lucin by the pond and trees. Alan and Becky Kempton came to pick me up. I stayed at their house about an hour, then walked to Paul and Annie's Two Shacks house. Stayed there till morning, got ride to my place, that's 2 miles from Montello, loaded a bag and walked to the road and was picked up by Robert. We went to town and got gas. He dropped me off in Lucin 10 a.m. at four-wheeler and I headed home. I got home around 2. So they probably said, give us a statement. Give us a statement. You were one of the potential people that last saw Dylan. Give us a statement, and that was Chase's statement, and ultimately he was cleared. Now, Don, that other man that we saw in the videos earlier that was friends with James and helped Dylan on the farm, this was his statement. On Saturday, Gina came over to my place at around 1500 hours, late, ate dinner, watched TV, then Gina left for home around 2100. Sunday afternoon, Karen Rounds called and said, talked to Dylan day before, said he seemed to be short on time and had to grab a grain truck in shed to be protected from the rain at Joe Chicho's and haven't heard back from him. Seemed as Dylan called her Saturday morning. On my way out to Dylan's, I called Terry, I'm assuming. Jim said Dylan dropped off the grain truck in the shed sometime Saturday while Jim was at my house. Lie. That James Terry lied. I'm not saying that this guy did. I got to Dylan's and called Dylan's grandma and said everything looks fine, but Dylan was not there. Karen called me Monday and asked me to take an inventory of everything at Dylan's. Jim and I went to Dylan's to do the inventory. Jim climbed into semi-truck to look along with some tractor trailers. Jim double-checked Dylan's trailer and nothing. Then I brought Jim back to check Joe's, and Dylan's mom called Candace and said her and Dylan's dad and grandpa was on their way from Idaho. Met them by kiosk north of tracks in Lucin, went back to Dylan's and watched father break into Dylan's truck, but nothing was found. SAR then showed up, search and rescue then showed up with other people. Okay, so there's his statement. A lot of times we don't get to see these type of statements. We don't get to hear what the other people were saying unless they testify in court or whatever, but that's not what happened. Here's a photo of a gun that was found. A lot of these type of photos, as I mentioned earlier. Let me pull up a couple more PDFs, and then we'll play a little bit. Affidavit and search warrant. Okay, this is, I believe, here's a evidence type of tag. That this is what shows all the evidence that they edited. Entry, shed, photo log, barn. This is how they track everything that's collected. It's a lot of tedious work, I'm sure, but wanted to show you that. And then here were some other tips that came in on the case that I thought were kind of interesting. There were interviews with people at the bar. These were people that heard stuff that others were saying. This talks about a man who saw somebody in a truck and thought he was interesting. I mean, on and on and on. These are the tips, the police reports. There's some that are redacted. They black it out because they aren't releasing them at the time, or that there's confidential information that they, doesn't fall under the law, the open records law. Okay, here is what I want to show you, which is interesting, and then we'll get to a couple other things. This is the Box Elder County Sheriff's report. It's stamped July 8th of 2020. But if you pull through this and look, June 20th, he was arrested possession of a deadly weapon by a restricted felon. It's a felony class 2 type of crime. And it said hold for court. And if you go down here, this says bond was $5,000. And it said defendant to post an unsecured bond in the amount of $5,000. This is puzzling. Dylan's still missing. Brener is a convicted felon who had a weapon. This report saying he can be released on $5,000 bond. But this other report says the current offense is a felony. Therefore, the court orders that James Brener is to be held without bail. Oh, there we go. I think. Okay. My computer froze on the other end. I was showing you a document, but it's not popping up. Instead, it's freezing my face, which always looks delightful. So I did show a document. There's conflicting court documents here that just don't make a lot of sense, and I know bring a lot of frustration to Candace and her family and to a lot of people that are following the investigation. He was released, as we talked about, that first time with bond, and then 8 days later he was arrested again, and that's where they put him in jail without bond, and that's where he stayed for the remainder and until he was sentenced to prison. There were so many complications with this case, with the court hearings, because he was wanted on federal charges and local charges. And the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office was holding him in their jail, but they had to get permission from the feds for him to appear in court anytime there was a hearing. It wasn't like other defendants where you could, say, hey, you got a hearing tomorrow or whatever, and you just walk into the courtroom. You had to get clearance from the feds. They had to have notice, and the bureaucracy and the red tape that comes with these type of things is you can't just do it, unfortunately. So it was a lot of delays, a lot of postponings, a lot of that sort of stuff that really kind of turned frustrating for the family and a lot of people that were following this. All right. My computer is rebooting here in just 1 minute, and I'm going to show you a couple of more things, and then I want to play you this interview from Candace. And here we go. We will get this for you. And I love, by the way, keep posting your questions. I know we have a lot coming in here, and I'll answer as many as I can here as we kind of wind things up. But this is the sad part of this, where they found Dylan's remains and he was put in bags, and they had to label them and tag them and take them to the medical examiner's office. This is just one of the photos that was taken. And there were, again, many more. I'm not going to show them to you, but this was the days. I'll always remember when Candace called me. I was in Boise covering the Daybell trial, and the day that Dylan was found. And she had told me, and I had heard, that a few weeks that things might be closing in, that they might be able to find Dylan. And I remember I was out driving, and I was on the phone with someone, and Candace called, and I couldn't answer her call, and I was driving, and so I sent it to voicemail, and I was going to text her when I had parked, and I pulled into a parking lot of a mall, and Candace texted me, they found Dylan. Or no, she said, we have Dylan, something like that. And I just was like, oh. So I called her, and she filled me in, and then we broke the news that night that Dylan had been found. And it happened to be on the one day of the Daybell trial that it was off. They weren't holding court that day because of an officer's funeral. And so, that's a moment I'll never forget. It was surreal. It was a relief. It was just so many emotions. Speaking of Candace, I talked with her earlier this evening, and I want to play you a little bit of that conversation. It's not too long, but just about her thoughts about all this evidence coming out, everything being dropped, and then we'll take your questions. So here is my conversation with Candace. Documents from the investigation into your son's disappearance and murder have been released now. And overall, what are your thoughts? Have you been able to go through them all? Did you want to go through them all? What did you think?
I went through most of them. The majority, there's some specific documents like you and I have talked that I wanted to see for myself. I think there was a lot of stuff released that was pretty pointless. I still think it was a big smokescreen with the pictures of Dylan's remains kind of shifting the focus onto, for lack of better words, a more morbid side of it than what actually went on in the case and follow the footsteps of the case. I've been through them all, but I'm still having a hard time piecing together. There's a lot missing. There's a lot out of chronological order that it's a big puzzle to put together. I've went back, Nate, and I've looked through interviews that Justin and I have done with you, what I've done with other people. And I'm like, okay, I know that happened, but this piece is missing. And so it's pretty disappointing the way it came out. Usually FOIA requests are answered separately and individually, not thrown out for the whole public. So
if you've seen some of the videos, I think what kind of stuck out to me is those videos in the beginning when James Brener is kind of everywhere. At least he's, the police shows up and you're there, and he shows up within seconds and he's giving his theories. Well, he would have walked down that road. I mean, when you go back and watch that and realize what he was doing those days, what's your reaction?
It's so frustrating because we knew, and we kept telling them something is off. He did something, and you'll hear me in the background in some of those videos when James Brener is trying to tell them, Dylan, when I did this, he went this way. And you can hear me in the background saying, I know my son, and he would have went this direction. And I'm being 100% disregarded. I mean, their body cam shows it. They're not even acknowledging what mom standing behind there is saying. Instead, they're face to face with the man who murdered him, listening to him. That's the kind of stuff we faced in the beginning, and that only shows a tenth of it. I mean, all that body cam is edited, but it's almost also soothing so that people can see we weren't crazy. They may have edited this, but you can hear our voices. You can hear what we're saying. You can hear the deputies that are there speaking with the gentleman and the one to find out who killed him and disregarding us as parents. We did not make this stuff up. It happened. And now it's out there for the world to see.
Yeah. Was there anything surprising or something that you viewed at a document or letters or whatever that made you think, that's interesting, or I didn't know that?
Just mainly like you and I talked, that after they arrested James Brener on June 20th, one of the things that I'd kind of heard buzz around the department is that on June 16th, when they searched that property, they knew he had guns. Well, that should have been enough for an arrest right there. But they waited until June 20th to come back. Then he's a felon. He has guns. They throw him in on the paperwork, and in their paperwork, it states he is not to be bonded out. And then 9 days later, another judge posts his bail for $5,000, which Don Hately actually posted the bail. He would have been out had the feds not have got him. So you got the paperwork saying, don't let him out. Here's Dylan's, suspicious disappearance around him. They're calling him the suspect. They have plenty to hold him indefinitely, but they still set him a $5,000 bond. Had the feds not have got a hold of that 22 and got him, James Brener would have been in the wind and we never would have found him. So thankfully, the federal government, the FBI did their job, but yeah, they were going to let him out. Like I said, that is a big problem in our judicial system. You have a violent criminal who has guns, a missing 19-year-old, but hey, for $5,000, come back on July 11th. We hope to see you then. Just nonchalant, and that's just not okay.
One of the things that's come out, Candace, since Brener was sentenced is a lot of people think the sentence was pretty lax,
Yes.
the 3 years. But can you explain kind of how that came about, and could he realistically be walking the streets in 3 years?
So yes, he absolutely can. He will have his first parole hearing in 3 years. The Matrix says he's not going to get out, but after the stuff I've seen and some of these other families I help, I don't have a whole lot of faith, but I'm hoping.
But you'll probably be at every one of those parole hearings, knowing
absolutely.
you. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. As far as a sentence, we were kind of backed into a corner where he wanted to start doing pleas. There just really wasn't a whole lot of places we could go. You go from first degree felony to a second degree felony, and the sentence for a second degree felony in homicide is 1 to 15 years. That is the state statute. So it's not like we could have met in the middle. That is what the law states in Utah. So unfortunately, the aggravated murder holds a lot longer, which is a first degree felony. So we only dropped it 1 degree to cut the plea, but Utah will be changing some laws, I guarantee, that will make that sentence stronger, because we also had the option. We could have done attempted murder, which of course made no sense to us, but attempted murder, he would have got 3 to 15. But for murder was only 1 to 15. And then the gun charges run consecutively. So they're both 1 to 15, but they run together. So it's 2 to 15. And that's how it came to the 3 to 30. And it's like I said, it's not enough. But you have, until you're in the situation, you have nowhere to go. This is what, it's not a judge sentence. It's not something, you heard Judge Maynard say he wish he could give him more, but that's what the law is. That's what the state law is. And there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. So besides vote different, talk to your state reps, look at your laws and make some public safety changes.
Right. All right, Candace, thank you. Anything you want to add?
Nope. I just want people, if they look at the file, just to please not speculate. There's a lot of stuff that is sensitive, that's brought up a lot of questions that It's not, it is exactly what we said it is. It just, people want to look at it in a skewed vision, and we just ask the public not to do that.
Thanks to Candace for talking with me about this. And again, there's so much more in the file, but really, this is the type of case that you wonder if James Brener had only been arrested years ago, decades ago. There's no wonder he was living in the desert, off the grid, so that the authorities couldn't find him. I mean, it just makes you wonder if this had been taken care of years ago, Dylan would still be here. And I've shown you a lot of photos tonight, and I played some clips and some videos and whatnot, but hopefully we can remember these type of photos. This was Dylan's memorial service a few weeks ago. It was beautiful. It was outside. The weather was perfect. It was on the family farm. It was full. Every seat was taken. There were people standing in the back. And you can tell this kid affected people's lives. There was the program, and on the back of the program, Old Souls, a poem. It says, "I love old souls, the daydreamers, the deep thinkers, with lots of fascinating layers. They don't care what others think. They just do their own thing. And when it comes to friends, it's quality over quantity." And Dylan, they said repeatedly, was an old soul. He loved old stuff, and he wanted to farm. And that's why he was in the Utah desert when he was killed and discarded. And then this beautiful moment here. This was the tractor leaving the service, followed by Dylan's truck. There's the hearse, of course, from the funeral home. But this was Dylan's very first truck, and it carried his casket to his final resting place. And Dylan's dad told the story about Dylan got that truck, I believe, from a neighbor. He wanted it so bad. He wanted a truck, and that was his first truck. It was a beautiful service. I hope that those are the type of photos and images that we remember rather than the guns and the gruesome stuff and Jim Terry and all that. Jim Terry is where he's at. And Candace and the family are really trying to turn this into something positive as best they can by helping other families and speaking out and working to prevent these type of things from happening again. So let's get to your questions. I'll answer as many as I can. What was Brener's active warrant for? I believe that I talked about that earlier. He had the one that was aggravated assault, something along those lines, in Brigham City in Box Elder County. And then he was wanted on the being a felon in possession of firearms. Did James just say he was Mormon? I think in one of the videos he may have said something about Mormon. I don't know if he said he was Mormon or one of his friends was Mormon. I couldn't catch it in there. I don't know what his religious affiliation was. Lori asks, why on earth was Dylan sent out there? He wasn't sent out there, Lori. He wanted to go out there. The family had some property, and he wanted to go out and start his own farm, and that's what he was doing. That's why he had his tractor, he had his truck, he had his trailer, he had the grain shed, and he was working to harvest a crop. And that's why he was so concerned about getting the grain inside the shed before it rained that weekend. Teresa asks, do we know why he killed Dylan? He's never said. I've talked to Candace about that. It was probably a fit of rage. Something Dylan did made James Brener mad, and he shot him and killed him and then had to dispose of his body and buried it in the ground. But James Brener didn't even speak or look at the family when he was sentenced, when he pleaded guilty. Wouldn't even look at them, gave no explanation, never apologized, nothing. When Brener confessed guilt, did he mention why he killed Dylan? Nope, I didn't. I talked about that. How was Dylan killed? He was shot, and that was what happened there. Vicky asked, why wait so long to tell the family and authorities where his body was? Why did Brener wait? The authorities didn't know. It's negotiating these type of things with plea agreements. You can go in, and sometimes it takes time to wear the defendant down, or to realize when they realize, what do I have to lose? What do I have to gain? Maybe they'll drop a charge. You negotiate with them, and sure enough, that's what he did. It was nearly 2 years to the date of when Dylan went missing that Brener actually said, "This is where he's at." Have they found the shirt Brener was wearing showing bloodstains? I don't know. It was probably in his trailer unless he got rid of it. He could have burned it. That's a good question, though. Can there be charges levied against the state or officers? I doubt it. You could request an investigation from the Attorney General, maybe, or I don't know if the FBI would investigate another law enforcement agency, but I don't foresee that happening. There could be a civil lawsuit if the family decided to civilly sue. That could happen, and stuff could come out that way. I forgot to mention that when Brener was in jail, he spoke with Justin Rounds. He called him. And also in the document dump, there was emails between Justin's grandfather and the James Brener. There was emails in there. Okay, that might be it. That it for the questions? It might be. There might be more in there, but I think we've gone long enough tonight. Thank you very much for watching Courtroom Insider. Appreciate you being here. I might be taking the next few weeks off. We're going into our big Secret Santa season. If you haven't watched, every week every day at the Christmas season, we surprise people. A generous Secret Santa gives us $1 million to go distribute to people in our community. So it keeps us very, very busy. Also, the CrimeCon cruise is coming up. I'll be speaking on that cruise about 3 different topics: what to do if your loved ones go missing. And I'll be incorporating a lot of what Candace has told me and talked about over the years. Also, inside the mind of a serial killer. I once interviewed a serial killer and had no idea that he was a serial killer until years later. And then one more panel on how to be a true crime reporter. They get to come and I'll teach them how to be a true crime investigative journalist. But if there is any breaking news or any interesting topics that come up, I'll be sure to hop on. You can follow me on my Facebook page. I think we still have that button here. Yes, there we are. Follow me at my Facebook. There's my Twitter, X. There's my Instagram and our East Idaho News YouTube channel, where you can catch my daughter's Emmy's latest interview with Mike and Peggy Rowe. Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, and Peggy Rowe, his mom. They did a fun interview with them today, and it was great. Someone I know just asked, do you have any more mugshot t-shirts? I have to plug them because we have like 20 left. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I got to show you this adorable photo that one of you sent me. It was great. Apparently you are, darn it, where is it? I promise it's coming. Someone is celebrating, there we go, their 25th wedding anniversary in West Yellowstone, Montana. And look what they're wearing. They are wearing, I'm going to zoom in. They both got matching mugshot shirts. Life goal, keep my mugshot off eastidahonews.com. Thank you for all your support. That helps our newsroom continue to do reporting and investigations and stuff like this. If you're interested in a shirt, as I said, we have about 30 left, maybe 20. eastidahonews.com/shop, SHOP. Thanks to Peggy for helping with the moderation. Thanks to Candace for giving me, suggestions along the lines tonight. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.